pleased that it is our 10th year of doing these showcases. When we first started doing the showcases, we just had one, and it has grown and grown, so now we have one on each day. I host one, and then Kim Donor hosted one yesterday. We have new authors from yesterday's panel. We have new ones up here today, and an illustrator, and we're happy to be here. I wanted to share with you why it is that we're here today, and it's because we, of course, love children's books. And we all know that no one loves a book like a child loves a book. When a child loves a book, they read that book over and over, and they love it so much sometimes they don't even want to put it down. Well, I'm going to share with you why it is that we're here today and why we love writing for books so much. I wasn't the Girl Scout, and it wasn't fun selling someone else's cookies and her getting all the credit. So I had to find something else that I was good at. When I was about 2nd and 3rd grade, I had a collection, but it wasn't your average, everyday type of collection. I didn't collect rocks, or stamps, or postcards, or seashells, or marbles. Didn't collect Barbies, didn't even collect books. I collected Band-Aids. I did. I collected Band-Aids, and I'll be really honest with you guys, when I go into the elementary schools, I don't tell the kids this, but I'll tell you guys, I even collected used Band-Aids. Oh, I do! But I had a good reason. The reason that I collected Band-Aids is because when I was young, in elementary school, and even through junior high, I was really, really shy. And I was not the type of girl who could just go up to somebody and talk to them and introduce myself. Well, I learned that if I wore Band-Aids to school, that the kids would come talk to me first. And once they talked to me first, then it was so much easier to talk to them. So I would put Band-Aids on my arms and my elbows and my knees and my legs, and I'd go marching into school with all my Band-Aids on. And then the kids would come up and say, "What happened to you? Are you okay?" And even the teachers would say, "What happened?" And then I would tell them a wonderful whopper of a story. Now, most of the time, I just fell off my bicycle, and maybe I hurt my elbow in gravel. But if I was really desperate, I'd roll up my sleeve, and I'd look for a freckle or a spot, and I'd cover that with my Band-Aid, and then I would tell my story. And while I told my story, I wasn't shy. And it felt so good to not be shy. It felt so good to talk to the kids and not worry and not think, "I hope these kids like me. I hope they don't think I'm stupid." I just told my story, and it felt so good, and it felt so free. Well, I learned then that words have power. And I knew then that words could create pictures in people's minds just by certain words that I could say. Well, I knew I liked to tell stories, but it wasn't until I was 10 years old and in the 5th grade that I found out that I liked to write stories. And in the 5th grade, my teacher would ask us to write stories with our spelling words. And every Monday we'd get 20 new words. And every Monday we'd have to go home and write a story with all those words. And every Monday all the kids in my class would complain, and they'd go, "Oh no, not again. We have to write another story with all these words." But I'd get my list of spelling words, and I'd be more like this: "Yes, yes, 20 new, delicious, glorious words." And I couldn't wait to take those words home and turn them into a story. So on Monday after school, I wouldn't play with my friends, and I'd sit down at my dining room table, and I'd get out my papers and my pencils, and I'd start writing my stories. And it was so much fun that sometimes I'd write 2 stories with my spelling words. And if I was really on a roll, I would write 3 stories with the same set of spelling words. And before I knew it, my mom would call and she'd say, "Darleen, it's time to clear off the table. It's time to eat." And the time had gone by like this. I didn't want to stop writing. Something about writing felt so magical, it felt so powerful. To think that I could take a list of plain spelling words and bring them to life and make anything happen. I could make a dog talk, I could make a cow jump over the moon, I could make a car fly, I could make anything happen with those words, and it felt so powerful that I didn't even want to stop writing. Well, I turned my stories into my teacher, and my teacher liked my stories so well that she would ask me, the shy girl, the girl with all the Band-Aids, she'd ask me to stand up in front of the whole class and read my stories. Well, the first few times that I stood up to read, I was like this. And I shook so badly I could barely read the words on the page. And as soon as I got done reading, I'd sit back down at my desk and I'd just look at the floor. Because I didn't know if those kids liked me. And I didn't know if they liked my stories. But I so much wanted them to like me and to like my stories. Well, week after week, my teacher made me stand to read. And week after week, I stood a little bit taller, and I read a little bit louder, and a little bit prouder, and I realized, hey, I like this writing business. This is fun. And when I get to the funny parts, the kids would always laugh. When I get to the sad parts, they'd always look sad. And out on recess, the kids would come punch me on the arm and they'd say, "Hey, Bailey, how'd you write that story? That was really funny. How'd you come up with that idea? Will you write one for me next week? Will you write one for me for 50 cents? And I realized right there, I found what I was good at. I'm a writer. That's who I am. I'm a writer. Here, my friend Kathy, she was a good swimmer and a good Girl Scout. My other friend Suzanne, she was a good violinist in our school orchestra. And little Miss Patty Jo Palgo, she was good at being Miss Kristen Perfect and Little Miss Beautiful. But I was a writer, and I decided right there, 10 years old, on the playground, that when I grew up, I was going to write a book. And guess what? That's exactly what I have done.